Pillars. It is 1-1, and it is getting tense. Both these teams have played excellent games each time. The first one was a 60-minute slugfest coming down to the wire. The last game was pretty close, but the Space Age Wizards definitely flexed their muscles on that one and took control of the map.
Alright, we're seeing the bans coming out once again. Very similar bans. Soraka, Orianna, Tahm Kench, Brand. This time the Malphite getting banned out, and getting banned out by the team that's picked it every time. I guess they are not going to pick it, but they also don't want Saw to have it. Mundo getting banned out once again by Saw, realizing they don't really want to fight that. The Morgana pickup, I really like that because it worked really, really well. Particularly with that Rammus, allowing him to just kind of roll in once he gets the Black Shield. He doesn't have to care about CC.
However, the Morgana is on the side of Dreamkillers this time instead of Space Age Wizards. They stole that one away from Relara, and I'm kind of interested to see how he will respond to this.
Well, probably picking something that will be able to CC more than one target at a time, hopefully.
It is always a great quality to have, so maybe Braum or Thresh coming out?
I could see a Braum. Thresh I could also see, although they just played it against a Thresh, and it worked out pretty well, so no guarantees there.
Yeah,
I
that's
could
true.
also potentially see it with, if you picked like an Alistar or a Leona or something that has a lot of AoE in it.
There's the
Nami will
Nami.
also work.
Yeah, and it's a pretty oppressive lane phase going against Tristana and Nami, because they can just always trade with you and they can come out on top with the explosive shot and the healing between ebb and flow.
And the worst part of all of that is if Nami puts the Tidecaller's Blessing on Tristana whenever she pops her explosive shot, she can just keep you hit like constantly because of the slow that gets applied.
Yeah, it's very good synergy. Very powerful.
The Zac being hovered, this is something we haven't seen recently. We did see it last week, I believe, during the minor league games, but Zac is not in a bad spot right now. He's a pretty good jungler, and he got some small buffs a short time back, so his range is even further than it was before.
Yeah, making those super tricky ganks, leaping over the walls from the bushes, getting that stun down, able to gain that with Morgana's binding. I'm assuming that's a support Morgana. And unless Zac has a really unfortunate ult in which he knocks somebody out of the bullet time, that could work so strong in Dreamkiller's favor.
Well, and the best part is when you actually use the slingshot, it has like a roughly like 18. It's like 18,000 or 2,000 or something. It's some large number, but it's slightly longer than that because his AoE is also large. So you can actually jump from quite a ways away and hit people. The really, really quick lock-ins there with the Syndra and the Lee Sin. First Lee Sin we've seen in the games for both of these teams today, and I'm not really sure I'm sold on it. We'll see how it goes. I guess that is something that you can pick into, well, if Zac jumps into your team and they start the bullet time, you can just kick Zac back into the bullet time.
Maybe he's looking to punish Zac early on in the jungle. Oh gosh, Alawi. Getting
The
locked
first
in.
Alawi today. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Ooh, that should be interesting.
I am excited already because I love playing Alawi, and ooh, the Renekton pickup against it. That would be something that might be okay against it as long as he doesn't pick the mistake of fighting inside the tentacle range.
Yeah, she's got a lot of really interesting interactions. The healing just from her W gives her so much sustain, as well as the ever so annoying E when she grabs your soul out, and the team just gets free reign on that. So a lot of utility with that champion, as well as a pretty high amount of damage for how tanky she's able to build.
A lot of that, though, comes with the strength in the tentacles, because the thing about the tentacles is their damage is based on your ranks in Tentacle Smash. So they have a base damage of some amount, and it increases based on how many points you put in that. So at first rank, it's only about, 100% of your AD? But every rank increases it by another 10%. So, and you get the bonus damage from Harsh Lesson. That's very strong. We do see, though, he does instead pick up that Gnar top lane, and having played against him myself, I do know that Gnar is a little bit annoying, although if you survive the early game, your post-6 is a little bit stronger because, well, Mega Gnar has to fight you in close range, and close range is your ally. Talking about the rest of these team comps, though, we do see Strathicus on that Lux again. He'll be picking against the Syndra this time. Whether or not that's going to benefit him, we'll actually have to see. He's taking the barrier again, not wanting to take that cleanse. Probably for the best. There's not nearly as much CC on this Saw team comp as there was last time.
And I think the barrier works a lot better in his favor, because even if you cleanse Scatter the Weak, there's a chance N- still gets to cast his ult, and having barrier to deny that extra burst damage, I think is going to benefit him a lot more than not being stunned up. At least for the laning phase. In the team fights, it could be a different story.
Right, and I did just double check with the math, and the Alawi Tentacle Smash, the damage on the Q increases at a different rate at which the damage of the passive tentacles increase. The tentacles increase maximum to 160% of your AD at max Q rank, and that is a lot of damage, but it also gets 10 times your level as well for base damage.
So much stacking going on.
So much stacking damage, yep. Now, we just talked about the spot lane here. I do think that they have the slight advantage here. Misfortune does have a lot of poke, but in short trades, Tristana kind of tends to win out a little bit, and Tristana's tower damage is a little better.
Especially with Nami having the healing, those short trades go into the favor of Space Age Wizards. I'm interested to see how the Lee Sin plays out. It's always honestly, in my opinion, a risky champion to pick. If you get him snowballed early, or you can snowball your lanes, that's great. Going into the mid game, have a lot of the advantages, be able to force fights and objectives. But if he gets behind, he's not going to be able to do as much. I expect him possibly to invade on Zark and try to get some kills on him early on, or at least discourage him from his own jungle and take control that way.
Right, and one of the downsides of playing Lee Sin, and something that we've talked about very often every time we see him, is his late game tends to be a lot weaker. He falls off pretty hard and has to go pretty heavily into tank. And because of that, he doesn't actually tend to do that much damage. Now, he can do a decent amount of damage, especially if he uses the Dragon's Rage on a high health target like Illaoi or Zac and kicks them into the team. But a lot of this is going to be picking off fights, and picking fights that are not near areas that Illaoi already has tentacles in. Because one of the biggest dangers is if you're already in an area with tentacles, and she uses Test of Spirit, if she pops the ultimate, every single target will generate another tentacle. If she already had 2 tentacles there, and she hits a full team with it, and a test with it, that means she'll generate another 6 tentacles. So there's 8 tentacles. That's 8 times her level plus, well, times her level plus 10, times her AD times 160%. That's ridiculous amounts of damage in a small area.
That's going to be really brutal. We're going to see which of these teams can set up the picks or set up the team fights better. This is the best of 3, the final match to determine who will move on in the Season 4 Premier League tournament. Will it be Space Age Wizards on the red side, or will it be the Dream Killers on the blue side? Stick around to find out. We'll be right back.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last game of the night. This is once again House Party 5v5 Premier League Quarterfinals, and we're roaring for quite a game here. We're seeing our first Zac of the day, first Alawi of the day, and first Lee Sin of the day, a couple other things. Very interesting team comps coming out here, good to see how these go. I am, of course, Decla based on color. Joining me on play-by-play is going to be Thunder, and, well, it's been quite a long series, but it's coming to an end soon.
Yeah, either way, at the end of this, we will find out which team stands victorious over the battlefield, over the remains of their enemies, and moves on to the semifinals next weekend. Pretty tense match. Will Space Age Wizards be able to do it coming up from the minor league, fulfilling their dreams and making it to the championship? Or will be the Dream Killers, the veterans from the Premier League from earlier seasons, will they be able to keep their spot and keep pushing on towards the tournament?
We're seeing this early start Corrupting Potion. Personally, I am still not sold on the Corrupting Potion. We'll see if he can pull it out for himself, but I don't know. It just feels really weird, okay? Because it doesn't give that much extra damage. It has 50 damage over 3 seconds, and, well, okay, that scales up to 60 at level 18. And it gives a little bit of mana over 12 seconds. Now, you can proc it a maximum of 4 times, so at maximum it'll do about 60 to 80 damage. Deadbeat picking himself up some extra early gold there. Killing a tentacle early on, that's good.
Yeah, it's risky to take the Corrupting Potion because you don't have the battle stats. You don't have extra health, extra defense or offense, depending which door and item you go. And if you want that much sustain, you might as well go Cloth 5 at that point.
Yeah,
or Cloth 4 now, sorry, they changed the gold.
Right. I think for me, the best I've had is usually like Doran's Blade or Longsword and Health Pots, because Alawi scales very well from AD. Ooh, already a lot of harass coming out onto Rolara.
Yeah, Wilson
And
Jones
it
did
gets
not
straight
have the binding. That would have been a huge turn in their favor, but it's up now. It goes wide. Scar put on so much damage onto Kurosekai. He is already under, well, after the heal, already under 300 HP, and they still haven't used the cookies on either AD carry yet. Just waiting to save that sweet treat for just when they need it. The binding woven between the minions lands onto Rolara. A bouncing shot from Scholar will follow up on it. No all-ins just yet, but level 2 is just on the horizon. Wilson Jones lands another beautiful binding. He's got the Tormented Soil down. The bubble sidestep by Scholar, but the explosive shot has got 3 procs on it, and it's going to hit him for quite some damage. Cookies pop by both AD carries as we speak.
That seemed like a little bit of a preemptive exhaust there, but at the same time, that does mean that the explosive charge, when it detonated, didn't do as much damage. So I think overall it was actually worth using. And it does
absolutely.
put Kuro in a slightly weaker spot.
And even with Rolara to push his health bar back up again, he is still pretty low, and that's going to run Rolara's mana pool out quite quickly. Wilson Jones going aggressive, just not able to get that follow-up he wanted.
One thing about playing the Morgana support, we didn't really talk about it much.
Binding lands onto Kurosekai. Sorry to cut you off there. Ebb and Flow is down, but a beautiful bubble stops Scholar in his tracks. Heal is burned from Kuro.
Rolara did have to use Ignite, and Kuro did have to use Heal, though, so that does put them quite a bit behind here. They need to be careful. But, as I was saying, we didn't talk much about the Morgana support, but one advantage to playing Morgana support is it's incredibly easy for you to proc Spell Thief's Edge and Frost Queen's Claim and its ilk, because with the pool, you will instantly proc 2 if you land it on 2 people, and then you'll proc another one not even a second later.
It's a great way. Oh, and the grab is down. Captain Stevie is smashing away at the soul of Deadbeat. And Deadbeat can't even get a third proc on him for that trade. Gosh, that's so much damage.
Right. One of the huge risks to fighting when they have your spirit with the Test of Spirit is you need to make sure that you're not in a position to get comboed with a tentacle. Because if you get hit by a tentacle while you have the test up, you take the base damage of the tentacle, and then you also take another, with 1 rank in it, another 30 or so % of that damage again, because your test takes it. You don't even have to proc the test to win the trade. However, Captain Stevie is running a little low on mana. He does have this Corrupting Potion, but it doesn't give him that much mana.
Yeah, it's only 50 mana over 12 seconds. That's essentially, what is that, like 1 W from him? 30 mana on the W, 50
Yeah.
Tentacle Smash at level 3.
Yeah, it's a single 1 extra W or 1 extra Q. That's it.
I mean, it's good, but it's not... I don't know, it's maybe not worth the combat stats. Nar's a great character to bully him. He has the ranged abilities to keep the extra wall tentacles down. He doesn't have to put himself in danger's way just to clear them, so... A game from bottom lane! Sark is all over him. They get the first blood. A beautiful binding from Morgana stops Relara in his tracks as well.
The super secret bush gank coming out from Zac. One does not expect the green goo to pop out.
And that's going to translate into a dragon right now.
Yeah, they managed to get 2 kills with that. They got both flashes, and they're getting dragon. That's insane. Captain Stevie, you just need to be careful.
Yeah,
You
Nar's...
lose this fight.
Yeah, Nar is a great matchup into that, apparently, or Deadbeat is just playing this darn near perfectly. He has kept him pushed back. He's up in CS until Captain Stevie gets this wave. But Deadbeat's going to be able to poke him down with that boomerang toss for quite some time. Flipsa
I
not
definitely
made...
think it's true, though. I think what you said is true. I think Nar is actually a good pick to the Alawi.
Yeah, and Lee Sin not able to do as much early things as you'd expect on him, but he's getting closer to level 6, and once he has that, he should be able to make some pretty powerful ganks due to Strathco's immobility. Or if he shows up bottom lane, just the sheer pressure of that. Maybe he might make something good for him.
I mean, they don't even necessarily need to get a kill. Kuro taking
Oh
a
my
lot of
gosh,
damage on that double up.
Scholar doing so much damage to Kuro. He's just in the middle of this minion wave. He flashes in after bouncing one off the minions. It's not quite enough damage. Relara's in a bad spot. Teleport is being channeled by Captain Stevie. Deadbeat, sorry. Here he comes. The binding goes wide. The heal is out. One flash. Deadbeat needs one more auto attack, but he can't find it. He's not mega yet. He gets the kill, but he is taken out by the turret. Zark shows up a little bit before then and is able to keep the other people off. Flipsa's going in quite aggressively. N- is here. He scatters the weak. It hits Sark, but it's not enough to take him out. Strathghost is rounding the corner. He's zoning him out, but it's not quite enough. The Lucent Singularity will knock them back for a little bit of time, but it's not enough to keep them off of this turret. Kuro is coming back full health along with Scholar, but Kuro still has his heal in comparison.
I think that was incredibly aggressive from Scholar, especially because we just saw Deadbeat push Captain Stevie all the way to the tower and force the teleport.
Wilson Jones could be in trouble here. He blocks the bubble with his spell shield, but he gets completely shut down by N- after the stun.
You can pop the bubble, but it doesn't matter if the damage from the bubble breaks the shield.
Yeah, because then Scatter the Weak got the free stun down. Captain Stevie going ham onto Deadbeat's little spirit there. And...
It's not going to kill it.
yeah.
Unfortunately, he's just not going to be doing enough damage here right now. The question is he going to go for the W max second, or is he going to go for the E max second? Now, the main difference is whether or not you want your W to be doing a lot of damage, or if you want to rely on your Test of Spirit. If you're really good with the Test of Spirit, it is way better to max the E second.
Deadbeat doing a great job clearing out the extra tentacles to make sure Captain Stevie is doing as little damage as he can. He gnars him right into the wall. The wallop combo followed up with it. He's throwing the boulder, but it's sidestepped by Captain Stevie, who is still hitting his spirit. 2 tentacles were smacking it down. That's a third proc yet again from the bottom lane. Here comes Sark. Jumping in, he gets missed, but the binding lands on Relara. Scholar doing as much as he can. There's the bullet time. The heal will save him. He walks out just off the corner of it, but that's a lot of spells burned again for Space Age Wizards. They are feeling the pressure, and Sark is doing a magnificent job of ganking down there.
That was actually a bubble from Relara that stopped Zark from getting in. It wasn't just a miss. The bubble landed before Wilson Jones could get the black shield on him. So he got knocked into the air while he was in the middle of his jump. And what that means is it interrupts it. It works the same way that, say, Aatrox's jump works, in that if you interrupt him, it stops him wherever he was.
Beautiful play by Relara.
Just wanted to
That's
highlight
pretty
that.
impressive.
That wasn't a
Speaking
miss.
of Sark, he misses N-, gets scattered the weak backwards. Flipsa's here. He's got the slowdown. Let's see if he can land a Sonic Strike. There it is, but he doesn't want to follow it in because Sark has already made it to the turret.
A very unfortunate initiate by Zark. Has to use Let's Bounce. Doesn't really get much from it. Captain Stevie going for the defensive build, grabbing this really early Glacial Shroud and double longswords. We'll see if that's going to become either a Frozen Heart or an Iceborne Gauntlet. Iceborne Gauntlet is something I've seen a little bit, but more people prefer to build the very large amounts of CDR and mana you get out of the Frozen Heart, especially against a team like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially against Gnar in lane. I mean, Kuro will definitely work wonders against him as well, but purely from the lane perspective, it will make Gnar a lot less likely to do damage, just from the armor and the attack speed aura, or debuff aura.
Looks like Captain Stevie is maxing that Test of Spirit as well. Kuro taking a lot of damage here from the double ups and just the auto attacks in general.
Yeah, Scholar is getting really proficient at poking those through the minions. Flipsa hanging around the backside, but so is Sark. This could turn into a pretty big 2v2. Sark jives in, but it's easily hopped away preemptively by Deadbeat.
It's more about just kind of sending a message, making sure Deadbeat knows that Zark could come in at any time and land on him.
That's the great thing about these junglers that have more, I guess, presence. Even if they're not making a kill from the gank, just the fact they show up forces the enemy laner to back off, giving away grounds and relieving pressure on your laner, as well as it plays that psychological game. It puts that fear into the enemy's mind of, hey, you know, he might show up again, and look at this, Sark is charging up. No, he's not charging up, he's just waiting in the bush. Now he's charging up. There he goes, he misses Deadbeat by a minute. However, he's able to hop over his head. Deadbeat about to go Gnar will be able to force him off if he wants to. He throws out the boulder. Oh my gosh, solo kill in the mid lane.
Not a solo kill, that was gank from Flipsa.
Oh, okay.
He's that directed cam, man, it bounced over and got him. And that was actually...
Oh, Sark catches Deadbeat after the flash. Deadbeat misses his ult, but Sark had also knocked him backwards. My directed cam just didn't show me that mid lane thing. That was weird.
Alright, so one thing though that I can say though was that Alawi misplayed there. Stevie should have, when he had the spirit, he should have popped the Leap of Faith immediately. Unfortunately, he didn't. So when he did pop it, Deadbeat jumped away, didn't generate any tentacles, didn't do any damage, it was just a huge waste of mana.
Ooh, Binding goes wide in the bottom lane. A pretty decent CS advantage going over to Scholar. As of now, he's got 98 to the 84 of Kuro. Kuro does scale pretty awesomely into the mid lane. Deadbeat's in trouble. He walks into two from the bush, instantly deleted. That's not fun for him, but here comes Flips on the bottom lane. Wilson Jones has got the ult on the duo compartment, but Kuro gets a kill. Scholar does enough damage to Flipsa to ward them off. However, they already gave up the kill. Wilson Jones was so aggressive on that play, but it did not work out for them, because they didn't know about Flipsa in the bush.
Alright, so... I don't know, I think that was incredibly... like, way too aggressive from Deadbeat. He knew that Zark had hung around for a while. I mean, Zark came in for, like, 3 separate ganks, top lane, so... he knew that he was nearby. And even so, he still came back in with no flash.
Get out of the weak, hits Strathgos, and Minus is about to get jumped on by Sark. Here he comes, he's bouncing around, he's got the stun, there's the light binding. Strathgos opens up on him, Sark walks out with barely any HP left. Flipsa's not quite in range to catch him, but Deadbeat is already coming with teleport, and he's doing his best to keep Strathgos back.
This game is pretty close. All things considered, there's a lot of ganks coming out from Zark. He has 100% kill participation. But he's a little bit behind in XP from Flipsa because Flipsa has decided, okay, I can't be around the map as much as Zach. I can't possibly have that, so I'm going to try and farm up a little bit, get to 6. Well, he got to 6 first, but he didn't do anything with it. Get to these power spikes that I can get. Wilson
Jones might be in trouble. Kuroseka diving in aggressively. Flipsa tries to hit him with the insect move. Kuro flashes in for the kill secure there. Gets the last hit. The explosive shot explodes. Of course, it's explosive. And he finds a kill for himself. He's getting back into this game. He's got 2 kills as of right now. Sark trying to chase off for Lara. It's not quite enough for him. But let's see if they can turn this siege down bottom lane. Flipsa coming around the backside to give some support to his teammates, and Minus about half health, half mana. well, 3/4 health to be exact. And it doesn't look like blue team will be doing any sieging. Dreamkiller's playing a little bit passive here.
I mean, they have all the reason to play passive, though, because they just...
Oh, here comes Sark in the mid lane. He's bouncing Kuro all around, right into Scholar's grasps. He's finding himself some more damage under Relara. However, Scholar wasn't really interested in the follow-up, it didn't appear. But that gives him even more lane pressure in the bottom side.
You know, I say that it was okay for them to be passive, but then they just get super aggressive just to prove me wrong. But they were in a good position to be passive. Caster's Curse. Because Flipsit was still nearby, and Flipsit getting caught out by a binding, but Wilson not really much to do else. Looks like they're gonna lose.
Won't get the turret.
Barely saved
one
it.
More auto attack.
It's got 8
HP.
Barely saved it. Did lose a tower bot side because of that play bot side though, so that's good.
Ooh, Deadbeat Spirit's getting grammed out, but he's putting down so much damage with these passive stacks onto Captain Stevie. He's getting real close to Mega, but he might not even need it. Stevie flashes, but to no avail. Deadbeat gonna secure a turret here. He's already turned Mega, but it doesn't even matter.
Once again, Captain Stevie, that leap of faith was so overdue. If he'd have done it, if he did it when he had the test available, when he was doing all of those harsh lessons to try and kill the test, he would have had 2 more tentacles to do it with. But he didn't. I don't think he knows that the Test of Spirit counts as a champion for the purposes of your ultimate.
I don't know, but Sark is trying to force off Deadbeat, who's going to show a little bit of flair, go and take his Gromp right under his nose, because Sark has got to sit there in lane. Essentially even gold for both of them, but they're losing out on the side of the Dreamkillers in their jungle here. Deadbeat's going to be able to freely roam around, take the Scuttles as well. Setting up for a dragon in about a minute right now, Space Age Wizards are. And they're looking to put a lot more pressure on the bottom lane to return the favor that they had received earlier in the game.
Probably a good idea, but the thing is the bot side tower isn't really hurt yet. Mid has been hit quite a bit. That would be a good spot for them to go, but unfortunately, it's looking like Kuro just kind of wants to sit down there and farm. I can't really blame him. He's currently behind quite a bit from Scholar. He's down 20 CS, he's down 2 assists as well. And just, in general, not really in a good spot. I like the Rapid Fire Cannon, though, because a lot of people have still been picking up that Static Shiv. The thing is, Static Shiv isn't as valuable as it used to be, because Wave Clear isn't as important on AD carries. They are still able to clear on their own. A lot of the champions that didn't have a lot of Wave Clear have a little bit into their kits now. And the damage on the actual passive when it goes off isn't as strong as it was. They actually nerfed it a little bit. So Rapid Fire Cannon is incredibly strong on a champion like Tristana, who already gets a long attack range, and it's just another passive proc that does a lot of damage. Now we'll see if he goes into the Infinity Edge or if he goes into a Static Shiv from that.
Ooh, Sark diving into the bush, finds himself a pink ward, and Flips is going to have to back off pretty quickly. Doesn't look like any more fighting is breaking out just of yet. Dreamkillers fighting their way to the dragon. They want to get their second one of the game, get on top of that counter. And it looks like Space Age Wizards just going to roll around through the mid lane. Not in time. They're going to try to put some siege down onto that turret. They've got Tristana. They're in a good spot to do this. The Dreamkillers have to come from an awkward angle. Here comes Zark. He's got the black shield. He bounces Relara right under the turret. However, Relara flashes over the wall, beautifully escapes. Bullet time not enough to take him out. Captain Stevie's way in deep, and he's done. Kurosekai getting the finishing blow.
That would have been a really, really good fight if not for Captain Stevie jumping in. They pushed them off the tower. They got Rolara's flash. They didn't use any flashes of their own.
The binding catches onto Flips. The Scholar goes in, but Deadbeat bounces off in an odd angle. Not the one he was looking for. Flash ult! He catches Strathghost with the wallop combo afterwards. Kurosekai's got the auto attacks, but Strathghost pops heal. He is not dead yet. Oh my gosh, right through the uprights. The final spark doesn't kill anything, but Flipsa finds himself one on the backside.
Manages to execute those little globules that are Zac, and unfortunately, What you can do about
Flipsa
it?
getting caught by another binding. There's some poke down from Strathgo. Scholar cannot get in close enough to do enough damage. Debbie looks like he's trying to zone him off. The turret will go over. Kurosekai securing that one for the Space Age Wizards after a oddly coordinated team fight from the Dream Killers.
So, once again, we saw Zach had this really potentially game-breaking initiate, right? He jumps in, is going to land on top of N- and Flipsa, both who are really kind of low, and N- hits him with Scatter the Weak. Doesn't get to do his damage, gets interrupted, takes a whole bunch of damage, has to flash away, and just can't get away from Flipsa.
And I wanted to touch on that Static Shiv comment you made earlier. Tristana would be unable to control waves if she got Static Shiv. It would always be pushing and always be fast.
Anyway. She's always pushing.
Yeah, but it would be even faster, so having Rapid Fire Cannon is definitely the better option between.
That's true. Goodbye, Strategos.
He is just done, so Sark coming in onto N-. However, the binding hits a minion. It's not the droid they were looking for on that one. Strathghost pays with his life for a little bit of an overextension. Definitely gets punished by Space Age Wizards. They're playing this one smart. Sark goes in, but they were already backing off again.
You know, I don't really know if we could say that wasn't the droid he was looking for. I mean, he's not really a droid. He's more of a biological weapon.
That is true. What does it stand for? Zon's Amorphous something?
Is it Zon's Amorphous Combatant?
Maybe something like that. But there's a fight. He's bouncing around. He's knocked up Relara. He's knocked up Flipsa. The wave will knock him back. However, Flipsa's going in for the kill. They want to kill the blob. The spell immune, will it be enough? It will. The Black Shield saves Zark's life. Strap goes with a beautiful snipe onto Relara. The fight continues. Wilson Jones looking for a binding. The exhaust and the soul shackles are down onto two members. Flipsa's been caught, but N- turns it. He has absolutely obliterated him. Kurosekai has to jump over the wall just to get to safety. That's a 1 for 2 in the favor of the Dream Killers.
Well, unfortunately, not really much they can do about this now. Deadbeat is currently a vessel. He's going to be generating some tentacles around himself for a little while here. Sark just clearing out some wards, clearing out a little bit. He's kind of licking their wounds after winning a fight. Very barely living. And that's the end of the vessel.
Yeah, Black Cleaver ended up being finished on Alawi. Alawi?
It's Alawi.
Alawi. Gets
the
Black Cleaver. Oh, I haven't played her yet. Yeah, Alawi finishes Black Cleaver instead of going for the Frozen Heart outright. Gets some Merc Treads as well, but I think Nar still has the advantage in the lane. He's a bit more tankier, and he's still got the same Cleaver and DC reduction.
Binding lands on Relara, but not really doing that much damage to him anymore. He did
It's really
pick
just
up...
for show.
Yeah, I mean, he picked up his Null Magic Mantle, so he's got just enough MR for it to not really feel like anything. Slowly but surely, the wave's pushing back towards TDK. Despite the fact that they've been winning a lot of these fights, they're still kind of backpedaling constantly.
And there's a two-item power spike on N- versus Strathghost doesn't quite have Luden's Echo complete. So I'd say advantage in the mid lane. Oh, Flipsa gets to Sark, but not quite in time. Sorry, but advantage to N- in the mid lane. We did not see the Frost Queen's Claim Rush this time.
Unfortunately, didn't see the second Frost Queen's Claim mid. And you say Flipsa didn't quite get there. I say he went too early. Because if he had waited a moment longer...
Ooh, the soul is grabbed out. Takes a little bit of damage, but instantly popped back by N-. He's going to have to deal with the nice blue underwater scenery that has been put onto his Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and that's actually really dangerous because there are tentacles.
Oh, Sark goes in. He's bouncing around through the team, but he knocks him sideways. The final spark doesn't do anything because it whiffs completely.
I'm Zach and I'm helping.
Sad day for the Dream Killers.
Now, the advantage right now the Dream Killers has, though, with N- being a vessel, is If there are any tentacles near him, he activates them.
Dark going in again. Oh, Captain Stevie pulls in. The life force of Lee Sin is getting burned down. Not quite enough to kill him, but it's very, very close. He walks out with 75 HP. Final Spark sidestepped. I don't know, it looked like it kind of hit him there, but, I mean, graphics pixelated. Apparently it did.
I think it was more just the camera angle. I think it was outside of the actual width of it. That will be another dragon over to TDK, though. And this is not something that Space Age Wizards won. This was a game that they want to win early. They have champions that are going to fall off.
I mean, Sinja loses a little bit of her ability to one-shot the targets that essentially aren't the AD carry and mid laner, which, I mean, great. It's still who the targets she wants, but after they get a little bit of MR, the locket will be finished on Wilson Jones pretty shortly. It's going to be a lot harder for her to one-shot people through the Black Shield as well as that scales up.
Right, and once again, look, we've got that vessel causing a little bit of a problem. They can't chase too far because there are tentacles in the way, and the rest of the team is just disengaging.
I'm going to go ahead and donate the blue buff over to N-, and that's going to be great to help her sustain it up. Strathghost did finish his Luden's Echo now, so on par in terms of itemization. No, not even. Sorry, Nudus Leader Rod was on par. N- just finished Sork's Shoes and picked up Blasting Wand on top of that, so definitely not on par whatsoever. Disregard the previous statement. Dreamkiller's got the Scuttler. They haven't swept out any of these wards, but it looks like they're starting up the Baron. They're rushing it. They see Kurosekai on the bottom side of the map. He's trying to run through the river to get there quick enough, but with Zark tanking this up and Captain Stevie putting the damage down, oh, they do decide to go away from it. Deadbeat might be caught out here. Zark is in the middle of the team. He gets knocked backwards. Jumps
Deadbeat
backwards.
is now a vessel, though. He's going to be generating tentacles for a while here.
Yeah, Lee Sin is another vessel being spawned up. The wave from Relara will try to keep him off at Captain Stevie getting low. He has to flash away from the bubble, but that is a Baron discouraged. Space Age Wizards shows up just in time. Kurosekai is now in the mid lane pushing it down. However, there is a lot burned on the side. Well, not so much. Only 2 ultimates burned from each team.
And the thing is, they have 2 vessels on Saw right now. They need to be really careful because both of them, I believe Deadbeat just cleared his, but when you have 2 vessels or 3 vessels on a team, every 10 seconds a vessel generates another tentacle near them, and it attacks somebody. And each vessel will be attacked by a tentacle, so if you walk by a tentacle that just attacked another vessel, it'll attack again. So you need to be really, really careful when your team is hit by those.
There's just so much stacking damage potentials that if they're not wary of, they could be walking into a serious trap, or at least just taking a lot of extra damage they don't need.
Exactly. And we're seeing not really much coming out from either jungler at this point. We saw a lot of really early fights coming out from Zark, a lot of really good ganks, but if you notice, 20 minutes ago, he had a lot of impact. Even 15 minutes ago, he had a lot of impact. But he has only gotten 2 assists in the past, like, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's tough because
there just hasn't been much, and Lee Sin has been able to catch up.
Now, arguably, Lee Sin is going to be doing a little bit more for them in the next few minutes once he finishes Randu and Zoman, because he's going to have that next level of tank against the AD champions. Scuffle going on in the bottom lane. Deadbeat chasing down Stevie, who already tried to make him into a soul vessel, but Deadbeat is stepping around the tentacles very exquisitely, and he's taken so much damage from Captain Stevie, though. It's kind of scary.
I mean, that's the power of actually using your ultimate correctly. He still didn't even fully use it. If he'd done it right, once again, he'd had 3 tentacles.
Deathgo's getting caught out by a Scatter the Weak. The wave will knock him up, but there's not enough damage just yet. Flips are going into the backline. Kurosekai kills Wilson Jones in the fight. Bullet time and the final spark. Strathghost picks up a kill. However, they're so low. Here comes Kuro. That's 1 reset. There's 2 if he gets the auto attack. Can he reach Strathghost? He flashes in. That's a triple kill.
It's all about them resets. Feeding your dragon is the key to a happy dragon.
Alrighty, Captain Steve grabs the soul of Deadbeat yet again. Deadbeat is so low at this point in time. And that's going to be the damage out. Deadbeat's going to have a tentacle spawning around him, but if he's paying attention, he sidesteps it just as expected in the top lane. Space Age Wizards using their bottom lane to push down this turret extremely quick. That is the power of Tristana, and she will remind you of it every time it says your turret has been destroyed.
I mean, they do have a dragon on their team now. It's like they have another champion. The dragon is spitting fire here.
Well, it's not quite the level of Mordekaiser Dragon, but it is a lot more cuter and it gives me more feels in the terms of happiness.
Alright, well, slowly but surely, it's looking like Saw is kind of pulling ahead using their minor leads. I do like what they're doing now. They're not doing what they did in previous games where they all just try and shove down mid or shove down one lane and just keep going. They're doing some split pushing. They're letting Stevie run off on his own. If he can manage to keep Deadbeat away, Deadbeat's the only one that can stop them from jumping in. Slowly, this is happening though. Oh, sorry, I got that backwards. Deadbeat is keeping Captain Stevie away, vice versa.
I was trying to figure out what you're going for there, so I was just going to let you continue on that tangent.
I looked at both their names. No, Captain Stevie is being kept in the bot lane with Deadbeat, and because of that, they can just keep diving onto this team comp from Dreamkillers. Ooh, Wilson Jones taking a lot of damage from Scatter the Weak.
Man, well, looks like Wilson Jones might be the weak link. He isn't quite voted off the island just yet, but N- is making a good case against him. It looks like Deadbeat's going to be able to secure that tower in the bottom lane. Now the rotation coming out from the Dream Killers, but they're a little bit far behind. Kurosekai getting slowed down. He gets knocked in the air. His rocket jump is interrupted. He gets hit by the final spark. Is there enough damage? Sark might be able to finish the job, and he does. Bullet time gets stopped by the binding. Captain Stevie is here, and he's trying to lead his team towards victory. However, they can't pick up any more kills off the backside of it, but they did take out the 80 carry. That's going to be a dragon going over to them. It's live as we speak. Dreamkillers starting it up. Space Age Wizards have nothing they can do about this, so they might try to get some wards on Baron, maybe push down the mid lane, but they're not going to be able to make any meaningful trades after that. The bottom lane losing a little bit of CS for the Dreamkillers, though, as it bounces off that turret, but nothing to cry about.
Now, one thing, though, that you gotta look at, that was the 4th dragon for Dreamkillers. So, it is potentially possible that when the next dragon spawns, it could be a bait either way. It could be that Dreamkillers will let them get Baron if it means they get the 5th dragon, because 5th dragon is better for fighting than the Baron is.
And that's exactly what the Dreamkillers team comp wants to do, while they've got seemingly the advantage of the recent way things have played out. However, they are behind in kills and itemization, and the gold lead is like the proof of that when you see it, because Space Age Wizards has got more kills on their carries.
It's a lot of the carries have kills, and a lot of the fights just aren't going the way they need to go. The last fight happened to work out, but that was because Zark landed on Kuro, and Kuro didn't have flash. So if Deadbeat can manage to go Mega and just force a team fight here, even if they can manage to just kind of disengage people, that's all they really want. Alawi did manage to push up that wave all the way to the tower. They're going to have to get that, or it's just going to bounce.
I don't know if they're even sending anybody over there. Deadbeat doesn't have TP. Sark is already diving in, but he's getting blown up so quickly, I don't think they can stop it. The wallop misses, and he's able to walk out just in time with a couple shields from his friends. N- being the receiving end of the final spark is not enough to kill her. The Spooky Ghosts are out from Wilson Jones. They're looking for an opportunity to fight, but when the Dark Binding doesn't land, they cannot engage.
Well, the Spooky Ghost went out from Wilson Jones, but at this point, it was way too late. They'd already used a lot of their skill shots, so there wasn't really anything to hit.
Dark Binding lands on the flip, so let's see if they try to take it. Captain Stevie a little bit slow on the test of Spirit. Flips of Spirit proves strong enough to resist.
And we're seeing Deadbeat getting a little bit more aggressive. He's about to go Mega. This is definitely the time he wants to be ready to fight. His whole team is here. I'm not sure that Zark wants to jump in on this.
It would be dangerous. Deadbeat is already going Mega. He's bound up, so they're probably going to wait for that to go away. Oh, he's testing the Spirit. They found Syndra's. Here comes Sark. He's got a 3-man knockup. The engage is down. Light Binding goes so wide, but Sark is on the backside getting absolutely blown up. Captain Stevie is such a durable tank. He is forcing them off. Bullet Time scatters against 4 members of Space Age Wizards. They find a kill. Strathos flashes for a kill, but Kuro fancy feats right over the wall. Strathos catches down onto Relara. That's going to be a double kill. Okay, yeah, double kill for Scholar. Strathos finds one for himself. Dreamkiller's coming out on top. They've got a big wave top. They have the possibility to do mid turret or Baron. It's their call, and it looks like they're opting towards the mid lane. Captain Stevie going to start tanking it up, leading his squad to the next objective.
I don't know, Deadbeat. I think that was a very questionable Gnar ult with the flash, because he did it because he wanted to push the rest of the enemy team away when Zark jumped in.
The Baron
and
is being started up.
And that would be good if Zark's passive wasn't up. But it was.
Space Age Wizards getting around the backside. Flips has got a war in the pit, but it's being currently denied to him. Wilson Jones setting up for the eventual dive in. He goes in, Flipsa gets knocked up. Zach with the smite secures the kill, secures the Baron, sorry, and Captain Stevie gets a kill. They're going to instantly move into the top lane. Scholar at the front of the fleet is going right for the turret. Kurosekai trying to get a little bit of farm off of the Krug camp here. He receives it. The turret is being locked onto the minion that Captain Stevie channeled his teleport onto, and Minus gets caught up by the Dark Binding. Zark goes in, however, he's getting so blown up. Relara is going to get zoned off from the bullet rain, from the bullet time. And that's a turret in the top lane for the Dreamkillers. They're pushing into the base. This might be their opportunity to break the base. The mid lane and the jungler are dead on the side of Space Age Wizards. They've got a new minion wave coming up with the Baron buff. They do decide to back off, take what they have, recalculate it, and then go in again later.
They do have a massive wave is hitting their bot side tower, so I can't really blame them for backing off there. But that fight, overall, the two previous fights swung it back into their favor in terms of the gold lead. So not only are they now winning in terms of the fights, how they look, they're also winning in the actual stats of the game. Once again, though, Captain Stevie, if he'd waited a moment longer, he might have been able to get a much stronger leap of faith. He only hit Rolara's spirit with the ultimate. So that did make a Vessel, but Vessel on Rolara is not as useful.
Yeah, both of these top laners, Deadbeat and Captain Stevie, have more opportunities to make big plays for their team. There he is. He's testing Nami's Spirit again. That's going to be a lot of damage going down to her. The slow is out. The Baron minions are battling against the bottom side turret of Space Age Wizards, and their turret is losing horribly as we speak. It is going down. Let's see if the Dreamkillers decide to rotate mid or keep down the sieging pressure. They're going to take the blue buff, probably give it over to Strathghost. See if it actually goes to the right person. It does. That's 5 members rolling around, but they want the dragon. They want the 5th dragon. As Deck just pointed out, 5 seconds. Deadbeat's Banshee Veil is popped. Relara is stunned, gets blown away by the final spark. Sark comes flying in, knocks him up. He's bouncing around. That Glaba Goo is causing so much problems for the Space Age Wizards. The binding catches Deadbeat. Scholar flashes forward and gets absolutely annihilated, but the bullet time was enough for his team to continue the fight. Captain Stevie gets a kill there against Deadbeat. They're gonna call back, get the 5th dragon. They've still got Baron on 4 members. Even though it's only about for 5 more seconds, it's not gonna last too much longer than this dragon will.
I was holding out for a really, really good Alawi Harsh lesson into like 4-man Leap of Faith, because that would have just slaughtered Saw. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, so whatever. They did get the 5th dragon. Whether or not they do anything with it remains to be seen. It will be up for quite a while here. Once you get it, it lasts for about 3 minutes, and double stats on all that stuff is very strong. See how that goes as soon as the fights actually start. For now, they're just kind of picking up their buffs, cleaning up everything, going to buy the last few items they need, and then see how that goes. We do see that Zark did go for this Thornmail. He just finished his Rhino's Omen, leaving up that last slot for a Vision Ward. Overall, just really flexing muscles here. Lots of damage coming out particularly from the Alawi into the Misfortune combo.
That's disgusting AoE AD damage. Like, that's just
I
borderline
was
unheard of.
hoping for an Amumu, okay? I want to see the curse of the sad tentacle time.
Oh, Lord. That's a pretty solid name. I applaud you for that, sir. It is looking like Dreamkillers want to siege this mid-turret. Scholar doing what he can, but he's getting bursted with a little bit of poke damage. The wave catches Captain Stevie, and Strathghost might be annihilated. He flashes out with just enough HP, and Minus does not get enough to one-shot him, but it is enough to deter this Dreamkillers from sieging down this turret for a little bit longer. However, Space Age Wizards have the top lane in their favor. They've got the bottom lane in their favor, and they are able to fend off the siege.
And N- did get his vessel there, but it didn't really accomplish much because while they did manage to spawn a tentacle in there, Captain Stevie wasn't nearby to be able to use that tentacle for anything, so it didn't actually do anything on its own. They do have to go to this bot side and push this out. Strathghost is probably going to veer towards the top side once he realizes how big of a wave that is, or maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to keep running mid.
And it's looking like Captain Stevie's setting up the bottom lane for a rotation. They've got the ability to move between these lanes, albeit it's slower than Space Age Wizard's time to move through the bases, but this much map pressure means there's a lot of openings for Zark to jump in, catch out one or two members with his hop, and there's tons of follow-up from the from the Dreamkillers side if they need to be.
Ooh, a little bit of extra damage coming out here. We do see that Dragon buff doing some work. They're putting out a lot of damage onto this tower. Every time Scholar hits it with one... Ooh, Scholar taking a whole bunch of
Scholar's
damage
getting caught out. That could be real bad, but he uses the cleanse from his Quicksilver Slash to get away. Sark and Captain Stevie leading the fight on the front lines. Flipsa doing what he can to stay alive. And his spirit gets caught out. Captain Stevie gets knocked back. A beautiful scatter leak. Wilson Jones flashes in. 4-man ult with the Zanyas. Binding's down on the flip, so let's see if they can finish it off. Bullet time, Strathghost combined will take him out. Deadbeat is the next victim to follow as Captain Stevie picks him up. Another kill. Wilson Jones lands a binding, sidesteps a bubble. Captain Stevie, that's another one for this guy. Alawe is huge. Double kill. That's the inhibitor going over to the Dreamkillers with 40-plus seconds on the death timers, and Kuro Sekai, the only member of Space Age Wizards standing between the Dreamkillers, the semi-final dreams that they have. Kuro Sekai gets bound. He gets blown away by the light binding. Strathghost, with determination, leads his team, the Dreamkillers, to their semi-final dreams of the Season 4 tournament of House Party's 5v5 Premier League.
Let me tell you, Dreamkillers is probably singing Cthulhu Fatagan. What a wonderful phrase. That was quite an engage coming in from Captain Stevie, doing tons of damage with all of those tentacles, and a little bit of extra damage coming out from the Iceborne Gauntlet. Congratulations, TDRK. Long-fought win. 2 really, really long games in this series that you won.
And well played to Space Age Wizards as well. They had an extremely strong performance throughout the season, and today they just didn't have what it takes, but it's a great team. Don't count them out for next year. Stay tuned next week. Watch us. We got the more semifinal matches. Sorry, we have the beginning of the semifinal matches for the Premier League. We've got their last...
It's the minor league, man.
Wait, what?
It's the minor league for tomorrow, right?
We got both. Oh yeah, minor league for tomorrow too, yeah.
Can't
Minor
forget
league
the
is
minor league.
tomorrow.
Come on, man. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys.
It's been a long day. Alright,
thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for next week.
Yes, TLDR. Next week and tomorrow Sunday.